All right, welcome to our webinar. Just give everybody a second to go ahead and get in here. We do these webinars about once a month. The topic for today's webinar is going to be ProjectHQ with a focus on the QuickBooks integration. So like I said, I'm just gonna go ahead and give everybody a couple extra minutes, make sure everybody's in here before we go ahead and get started. Okay, just want to go ahead and start off just thanking everybody for being here. Again, going over ProjectHQ with a focus on the QuickBooks integration. ProjectHQ is a fully web-based project management software that will be fully integrated or is fully integrated with QuickBooks Desktop. It allows your project managers to view all job cost reports and do their project management items within the system, and it be fully integrated back and forth with QuickBooks. And then we'll just kind of go for there. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and we're going to just jump right into it. So with our HQ suite or Project HQ, there are a couple different sections here. The first section is going to be our Project HQ for project management. The second portion of that is going to be the Crew HQ for scheduling and labor dispatch. We have a contacts tab down here, a reporting tool area, a time card area, and then also a setup piece as well. So I do like to just jump kind of into the setup and show that off a little bit first. And the first thing I like to show is that within our Project HQ, you do have the ability to set up permissions and users. So you can create a user and create permission groups for those users, and can come in here and limit what people can see within the system based off of what they need to see. So if a certain project manager want to see a certain job, or if you want them to only have access to see their projects but not to be able to create new ones, or they don't want them to see certain items in the system, you guys can limit permissions based off of the user by setting up different permission groups. Along with our setup, you can also set up and change a lot of different entry points within Project HQ. So let's just use the change order area here for example. You can change and add statuses as needed, completely customized to your guys' company, change reasons. You can change the field maintenance here and create required fields and not required fields for custom entry. And you can also customize the templates in here as well. So we have some standard templates that are, common through, change orders, RFCs, RFIs, submittals, and different things of that nature. And we have some standard default templates in here, but if you wanted to go ahead and customize and get your guys' templates in there so that it matched with what you guys wanted, you would be able to come in here and edit these templates and customize these templates to fit your guys' needs. So that's kind of the setup portion. It basically denote user permissions in the system can be customized, templates can be customized to your guys' needs, and then also the different entry points will be customized also to whatever you guys need in the system. We have defaults in there, but those can be switched around. To jump back up to the top and go back to our home page, here on our home page, we're going to see a project overview of all of our projects. We'll have a list of projects. We'll have our overdue documents, upcoming documents, and any recent documents as well. So here on our home screen of Project HQ, you can see the projects, the recent documents. It'll give you a kind of an overview of the project schedule that's coming up from our Crew HQ. Action items, you can see my overdue, any upcoming, anything that's assigned to you directly, and then also any team action items as well, along with a little weather summary. You can see it's beautiful here in Strongsville, Ohio, a brisk 44 degrees. If I scroll to the very top, we can go to our QuickBooks reporting. So this is going to be where the QuickBooks integration comes in. On the QuickBooks integration, I can run this reporting on a project view or a kind of a system overview. So this is kind of where we would see more of a company overview, where I would have access to view any company or any projects that I had access to would be here. So this is kind of that system overview reporting. Now, if I click down into my project view and choose a project, this is where we get into the project management on a project by project basis. The first thing that I can do is just jump over right into my QuickBooks reporting, and I can see all my reporting in here. This is where I can see my contract versus billing, estimate versus actual, estimated profit, over and under billing, WIP schedules, and percentage completes. I can see my estimate versus actual costs. I can see a breakdown by cost code. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, this is where I can actually see my budgeted breakdown as well, based off my cost codes, estimates, actuals, expected revenue, and such. So this is where that reporting would come in. We also have a detail tab here where you guys can keep details on the project address, information on the project. These fields over here can be added to and customized as well to keep track of anything that you guys need. So that's your project details. And then the next thing that we're going to jump down into, I'm going to skip past the resources for the moment. That's where we're going to get into the scheduling aspect, which I'll circle back into. But I'm going to jump over into the work management. This is where we can do our action items and record action items and assign action items as needed. We can do daily logs and keep track of our daily logs for labor, materials, delays, weather, notes, photos, and such. We can keep track of our documents. We can do these standard documents, which are RFIs and submittals, and track those in the system. We can email directly out of ProjectHQ or through your normal email app, whatever you guys prefer. But we can also track user-defined documents. So these are kind of the standard user-defined documents that we loaded into the system, but these can be removed and added to as needed to track any kind of custom documentation. One common one, blueprints, contract, meeting minutes, and such. Lastly, on our work management, we have a punch list. The punch list is going to be our checklist, where we can, create different checklists. As an example here, we have a pre-construction checklist. These checklists can be duplicated and copied on a project-by-project basis because often they can be similar, or they can be completely added on the fly as well, and those can be assigned to certain people so that they complete those tasks items. You can keep track of what the progress and how many have been completed, what the due date is, priority, and such. When I scroll up, I'm going to circle back up into the AIA worksheets. We can do AIA billings out of ProjectHQ. So we can create the AIA and put all of our general information in here when we first create the job. For the AIA, we can put in our architect information, owner name, addresses, signature information for the notary, different addresses, retainage or custom retainage rules can be done down here as well. We can then go ahead and build out a schedule of values within the system and put in our schedule of values on a line item basis. These can be copied from a budget if they do match out with a budget. If they don't match out with the budget, you can build out, line items as, the project, is needed. And then you can actually build out our actual applications, and we can put in our percentage completes there. So this is where we can tell the system what line items we want to use retainage on, what the actual percentage complete is for this application, and then we can save that in the system, and then we can also go ahead and create a new application. Within our reporting section, back on our homepage, we can get to the AIA documentation, which will be right here. Oh, no, right here, sorry about that. So if we go into the reporting section, we can actually then go ahead and print out our AIAs. We have your standard G702 or 703, along with some standard progress billings that could be custom built into the system as well. But these are kind of your main, two documents there. So those are our AIAs in the system. They can be added, and our project managers can put in the percentage completes, and then the the accounting side can come in here and finish off the billings after that and print and email those out as needed, whatever you guys would need to do there. As we move down our list, we can manage our budget within ProjectHQ and have that budget flow back and forth from QuickBooks and keep track of that. And then we can actually put in new change orders, which would affect the budget and flow. We can create RFCs in the system, and then we can convert those RFCs or requests for changes into change orders. If we had multiple RFCs out there, we can combine those into one change order and manage our change orders, just like the other part of the system. This can, you can create your change orders, and again, you can save and get your PDFs of change orders in the system, and then those change orders can be emailed directly through ProjectHQ, or they can be saved, or they can be, emailed through your normal email app. As an example of another one of our printable reports, you can look right here, and this is one of our change order reports. So like I showed you guys at the beginning, these, this is our default template, but these can be changed, and you can edit these to your guys' needs throughout all of our templates in the system. You guys can also track committed costs, so purchase orders and subcontracts, and enter those into the system. Just to click into one of our entry points here, if I click into create a purchase order, most of the entry looks fairly similar to this, whether that be a punch list item, a action item, a daily log, a purchase order, a subcontractor change order. It's going to look fairly similar to the entry screen here, putting in our number and a title, creating statuses, and filling out our description. And like I said, these can be customized, and we can add custom fields to these entry points. And then this is where you would be able to save and send those off. So if I opened one that was already, completely filled out, you would see those different entry points filled in there. So I can go in and I can pull up my purchase order in edit, and then you can see those entry points filled out. Fairly straightforward entry. It can be as complicated or as easy as you guys need it to be. We can add different items on there as needed in different entry points, and we can make certain ones required and not required, or get rid of certain ones. And that's, on a company by company basis is where we would do that. The labor budget report is a budget report specifically onto the time card aspect. Now, if you're using our payroll for construction system, this report necessarily wouldn't be for you. This would be people that were using ProjectHQ that were not using Foundation's payroll for construction system. So when we go back to the home screen, we have a time card area down here. This is where we can do time card entry in the system. But again, this would be for people that were entering time within ProjectHQ and having it flow to QuickBooks. If you're using payroll for construction, that would be flowing into Foundation. You would use our mobile field log app for that, not necessarily the ProjectHQ. So two separate things, but for the people that aren't using payroll for construction, that can potentially be watching this live or the recording of this, this is where we would do time card entry and have that flow into QuickBooks. We can do a single time card entry by simply coming in here and entering the single time card. We can also do group time cards or crew time cards. I can choose an employee, a job. I can break down my cost code. I can choose an earn code, and then I can put my time in or time out. I can put my hours, and then we can have them enter some other things as well in the time card. And then we can save those. Once we save that, that can get flowed, and move forward to the approval if they're set up to do approvals. So if they're not set up to do approvals, they'll flow right through. So we can do single time cards or group time cards. We can do, the approval rejections. We can do a punch in and punch out. And then we can run reports on here as well. And then this information from these time cards would then flow through to QuickBooks for you guys to be able to run payroll in there if you're doing your payroll out of QuickBooks and not in payroll for construction. You can run reports off of these in the system as well, and you can view submitted time reports as needed for time card entry. So that would be, so the time cards is kind of a link off of the ProjectHQ, so that is our project area. Our reporting section would be all of these different reports that you can run. The time card is an extension of ProjectHQ. And then very lastly, we have our scheduling aspect up here at the very top. This is where we can do our labor dispatch and scheduling tasks for the projects. So within the Crew HQ or the scheduling tab here, you can run this on a quarter, a month, week, 3-day, or daily section there, whatever you prefer. I'm going to stick it on monthly here. I'm actually going to jump it back And I'll be able to see all of my jobs that I have in the system, and then any tasks that I have assigned onto those projects. You can schedule these out in advance, or you can use our unassigned task area over here, and you can create unassigned tasks. So if I created an unassigned task here, I can create a test webinar task, and I can say, okay, it's going to be for this Foltz building, and I can attach an employee here, and this is just a quick add one, and I can actually save that, and then as the tasks come up, we can actually assign those as we go. So if I'm ready to do my next task for this Foltz building, I can drop it wherever I need, whenever I'm ready for it, and then I can do the timing and add all the details there. So I can add that on there. I can drag that out and make it as long as I need. And go and do in any other entry. So that was a quick add off of an unscheduled task, but you can also go up here and just add a task manually as well. And you can see when I switch off of the quick add, I have a lot more details here. So this is where I can put in a project description, choose the project, an estimated start and end date. I can tell the system who it was added by, who it was scheduled by. I can create categories and tags down here for reporting purposes. I can put in percentage completes to say, okay, this section of the job or this task on the job is going to take up 20% of our estimate. I can add a location into the system for that job. And then I can go over to the resources tab, and this is where I can start getting into really the more detailed portion of the task. This is where I can add my employees, any contacts. I can create crews and add crews onto the system. I can add equipment into the system, and then also do material entries as well. So this is where you can add all of your resources for that task. Any custom fields that you wanted to add in here, we can do that as well. Any other details that you would want to be on that task. And then we can also add budget impact on here as well as notes. So when we schedule a task out, so if I click on one of these specifically, let's just go ahead and open up this pre-construction task here. And I go over to resources, you can see I've added some employees on here. When I add an employee to a task, it is going to notify them via text or email, whichever you guys prefer. And it's going to say, hey, you were assigned to this task at this time, and give them all of the dispatch information. Now, if they need, if there's ever a change, which often happens, it'll give them a new update and say, hey, this task has been, you were assigned to a task, it's been updated, here's some new updated information. So that's how you can do that labor dispatch. On the actual view of the QuickBooks section or the scheduling area, you can view this by project, you can view it by equipment, you can view it by employees. If you assign an employee to a task and it's overlapping another task, you can go ahead and tell the system, hey, we had some overlap, that's fine for now, or anything of that nature, or you can change it and make sure that you're not double scheduling a crew or a piece of equipment or an employee as you guys are scheduling out. So I'm just going to go ahead and circle us back into the project one last time, show off the QuickBooks reporting here for the project as well. So you can run this on a project by project basis, or you can run it as a wide overview as well, and see that. That is kind of just a quick overview. We like these to kind of be light and not get into too many details. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to leave the next 5-10 minutes open. Let questions roll in, so you guys can go ahead and add any questions, and we'll go over those and kind of go from there. And here's my contact information as well. If anybody wanted to email me directly, the information would be down here at the very bottom of your screen. And we'll just go ahead and let you guys type any questions you guys have about ProjectHQ, the time cards, QuickBooks HQ, in the chat. Along with any questions, if anybody would like a more personalized demonstration where it's more specific to your company, we can go ahead and schedule a separate time to go through a more specific demo and get more detailed. So if you guys want a more, individual demo that's not kind of as broad as this one and more specific to your company, we can set up a separate demo. You guys can throw in the question box to say, hey, I'd like a follow-up meeting to talk about ProjectHQ a little bit more. And then we can also, along with any questions, we can get into, specific, sets of ProjectHQ and costs and things of that nature. If you guys would want and follow up, via email or a separate call as well. So let's give another couple minutes here, see if any other questions run through. And if not, we'll go ahead and end, the webinar for today. Yes, so I did see a question now just come through about specific information that people can see. You can limit within the security portion what people see, what portions of the system they are allowed to see, and things of that nature. So you can create permission groups for all the users in the system, and you can create permission groups for a bunch of different system and kind of go through there. So I can create permission groups and I can limit access here in the permission groups. So yeah, we do have a user by user specific, what can they see, what can't they see, what information do they have access to within the system in the setup. No problem. So, like I said, if there's any specific questions for your company, you guys think of anything, here's my email down here at the bottom. You guys can note this down now. Phone number, give me a call. My extension is 4578, but if you call, they'll put you through. And there's my email down at the very bottom as well, dkilpatrick@foundationsoft.com. I will get back if there's any questions that I left out there or any questions on specific cost. It can vary depending on the company and users and things of that nature and what parts you want access to. And I will go over those with you guys specifically and shoot you guys an email or give you a call after the session. All right, guys, everyone have a great rest of your day. It was a pleasure speaking with you on ProjectHQ with the QuickBooks integration. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me. Have a good one.